Okay, you are live. Okay, let's go to my Firefox. Welcome everybody, thank you for joining. I'm getting started here in just a second. We're just loading all this up. We're gonna go over today's severe weather threat that's ongoing right now. Loading all this up.
Do you want to...
Alrighty, guys, welcome in. Thank you for joining. I am live here on YouTube. Alrighty, guys, welcome in. Thank you for joining. I am live here. Pause this here. So, guys, we are currently having an ongoing severe weather threat. Let's go take a deeper look into what is going on right now for the plains, as well as the East Coast. There was some stuff going on in Tennessee and Kentucky. I'm going to go ahead and start covering it all here. Just let me get this minimized. There's a couple of tornado warnings ongoing, as we can see. God knows why this is so big right now. Let me try it. Okay, so I think it's just going along with me right now. Alright, let's start taking a look at our first tornado warning here. And this is going to be for Kearney, Nebraska and Adams. We're going to go take a deeper look into what's going on with this tornado warning. And that way you guys can see it there on your screen. Already showing signs of tennis ball sized hail, which is pretty significant. So is it not showing me my reflectivity? Oh, we're going to start this way today, are we? Oh, because I had it on this. So it's more beneficial when you know your way around your own radar. So let's take a look. Looks like they just took down that tornado warning just now, which is great. Hope nobody was seriously affected. There we go. This is going to be for Minden, Norman, going down towards Keene, near Upland, the part of Nebraska. This is going to be north and west of Blue Hill. Let's take a look into the warning, what's going on, and what they're saying. So this is a severe thunderstorm warning for northern Franklin County and south central Nebraska, southwestern Adams County and south central Nebraska, and Kearney County and south central Nebraska. This is until 9 o'clock. This thing has had a history of producing tornadic supercell, and it probably or could do it again. At 8:18, a severe thunderstorm was located near a line extending from Hartwell to Minden to Axtell, moving northeast at 35 miles per hour. This is a pretty powerful storm. Where you see these brighter values here, these 72 decibel values, you're usually talking about tennis ball to baseball size hail and larger. So that's a pretty big threat right there, and that's going to be going towards Heardith. So if you're in that area, I would treat this like a tornado warning and seek shelter immediately. There's 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts being associated with this thunderstorm. This is a supercell, so it does have the history of producing rotation. So let's take a look at that. See if there's any ongoing rotation. I see maybe some broad level rotation, nothing to be seriously worried about at this moment, but that can change very quickly with these storms. So just please take it seriously, guys, with these very strong severe thunderstorm here. Probably producing near frequent lightning. Definitely need to be careful on this storm. Let's see, do I have... storm reports going on right now? I got flood, got water spout, got tornado wind damage report. So this thing has had a history of producing up to 4-inch hail, which is about softball size and larger. So this is a very powerful thunderstorm. So let's take a look at some of our other threats going on right now. Um, this one is going over into Kansas. Kansas has been having quite the severe weather ordeal going on the last couple days. This is going to be for the Kansas City area. This storm looks like it's on the weakening trend. If I have to take a look at saying, are there any major risks? Yes. Could this get stronger? Definitely. We're taking a look at it, and it does look like it's on that weakening trend coming south of Kansas City into Overland Park. So they'll probably drop that warning here soon for that storm. Still probably getting some lightning and some gusty winds over 30 miles an hour. But as far as that storm goes, I think that one's taken a little bit of a relaxation. We're going to go into our next system. This is going to be a little bit further south. This is going to be supercell thunderstorm. This one is going to be for Camden. Get an idea of where I am here. So this is going to be in Kentucky, guys. Kentucky has quite a line of strong storms forming. Um, Definitely got to watch those as they form. But this supercell here that's continuing to track over towards uh, Van Leer and going that way definitely has the potential to keep strengthening, as some of the hail has been over 2 inches. They're calling for 1 inch hail, but there's some uh, isolated spots that have been reporting closer to 2, which can pose a serious threat to your vehicle and break your windshield and stuff like that. Not a fun experience. Um, how 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 I would know is because it's from experience. You see about 1.5 inch and larger up to the 2.5, 3 inch, you're going to start having damage to your vehicle. Thank you guys so much so far for joining. I do appreciate it. We got 4 people watching right now, so I do appreciate you guys' support. Make sure to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Um, I just started the storm chasing channel, but I've been doing the storm forecasting for a couple years on my other channel. But I wanted to keep that channel's about and what this channel's about separate. Um, I tried to keep my weather and my other projects that I got going on separate. So I decided to finally start a actual forecasting channel. I am a registered storm spotter with Skywarn. I'm also a storm chaser myself. I'm out of Texas here, out of South Central Texas. So let's take a look at some more of the risks. If anybody needs to have their area checked, or a loved one needs to have a family checked for somebody else, please let me know in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to help add that for you. Let's take a look over here towards Ford, Kansas, where we've had some very large hail. This is a very dynamically large thunderstorm. Absolute monster. Large hail, baseball size hail being reported. Kind of give you guys a look at what this looks like here. And it's just kind of fanned out right over this area, and it's not moving very much. So there is a flash flood component to this as well. So this is just north and east of Dodge City. So if you're over here towards Kingsley, which is also not too far from Garfield, I think Larned is in this area as well. Yeah, Larned, Kansas is up in that area. If you're in this area, guys, this is a potentially dangerous storm. And it kind of is just really building over. It's really building over near Bellefonte. Like pretty stationary as far as the way it's building right now. So expect to have hail damage. This was moving east at 5 miles per hour. So it's basically stationary, guy. 60-mile-an-hour winds and quarter-size hail. This is from trained weather spotters. Being on the ground, they are seeing quarter-size hail out of this. So if you're in Hogman and Edwards County, and also for northeastern Ford County, which is Dodge City, um, please seek shelter. This is a dangerous storm, very damaging wind in some of this. Let's go take a look at some of our velocity scans on this storm. Kind of take a look. I don't see as much as rotation at all. This is very close to the radar station, but there are some damaging winds associated, maybe closer to Oroville, as it's kind of doing a left-right split. So, potentially dangerous storm, guys. Large spans on this storm. I mean, we're talking. We really want to do a distance measurement on this from top to bottom. This storm is roughly about 30 miles wide. And it's about 28 miles 28 miles wide, and lengthwise it's about 30 miles. So it's a pretty expansive thunderstorm. Now, they do have another severe thunderstorm warning. This one is going to be for Ford County and Gray County. This storm was moving at 30 miles an hour, coming right towards Dodge City, but this one also looks like it's on the weakening trend. I don't see this storm really getting any stronger. In fact, I think a lot of the energy from this is going to get pulled into these storms. So, the storm that looks like it could get stronger is this one over here to the west of Ulysses. This storm looks like it's had some pretty large hail, classic supercell shape. I don't see potential for rotation at the moment. I don't see that classic hook echo. Looks like it's tried to do it, but right now I'm not seeing it trying to form a hook at the moment. So if you're in this area, most likely this storm very soon is going to become severe warned. So just a heads up there. We got another severe thunderstorm warning. This is going to be on the Colorado border. Now, these storms on the Colorado side today have been nasty. Now, this storm has right now over 3-inch size hail in Colorado. Colorado is also very well known in eastern Colorado to get very interesting cyclonic and anticyclonic tornadic development. So this is just because of its vicinity to the mountains. Now there is a broad area of rotation, maybe a base of the thunderstorm showing up there on the velocity scan. But right now the main threat for this is going to be greater than 80 mile per hour winds, and that's from the National Weather Service. So they're saying that this storm is moving southeast at 45 miles an hour, quarter-size hail. Guaranteed that's going to go up with that bright blue hail core that's showing up there. And this is going to be for Lincoln County in east central Colorado, and this is until 8:15 p.m. So this storm was located over Froder, or 41 miles south of Lyman. So if you're in Froder, this is going to be moving towards Haswell. Let's time this out, and also going to be moving its way towards Arlington. So let's take a look. It gets somewhat close to Arlington by about 9:14 p.m. I didn't even have to draw the track for this storm. But honestly, I think that it's going to be before 9:15 for Arlington, because that's going off of the back part of this storm. I would say probably closer to 50 to 9. So if you're in that area, Arlington, Haswell, I would be seriously taking a look at this storm as it keeps getting stronger. This is something that I would be considered consider looking at as far as staying tuned with this one, because this might eventually produce some rotation. So, but right now it looks like it's just very strong damaging winds and hail. Let's take a further look into some of our other storms here. We got that couple in Nebraska. Nebraska's been very active today. Come on. So this is going to be for Nebraska. It's kind of got that backwards shape to it, that little hook, the little backwards hook. Let's take a look at the velocity scans on this. Now, it looks like there is a little bit of rotation couplet on this. That is something I'd be kind of watching out for to see if that gets stronger, because that's pretty darn close to the radar too. I would be worried if that ended up starting to spin up some more. That's that out of all these images, that's the closest I've seen to something possibly strong rotation. Definitely gonna have to keep an eye on it. Let's time this out for those individuals. Let's take a look to see if we got any comments in here, if anybody's reaching out. Not at this time. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. Okay, let's get back over here. So this is going to be coming into Halsey, and unfortunately, because the METARs are on, I can't see. Turn this off real quick. That's Third. If you're in Third or Halsey, please watch this. This is going to be coming your right towards your direction. They said it's moving southeast, but these storms can change. But right now they have the severe thunderstorm watch box. I would really keep an eye in Stapleton, and this is going to be making its way towards Stapleton, Grady, Logan, Hogland. So if you're in any of these areas, and there's a lot of storm chasers in this area starting to take a look at this storm. See, this is what has me a little concerned, this hook echo right here. This might eventually start getting a stronger rotation. Definitely something that should have an eye kept on it, and that's why I think a lot of storm chasers are taking a look at this storm right now. All those little green dots right here are storm chasers. This is part of the spotter network that I'm a part of, and so they're all making their way up into this area. Definitely something to take a look at. You can see all the spotters there. Alright, so we're going to continue to take a little further look into our severe weather threat. We have a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings to go over right now, including one new one in Texas that is very strong. Getting issued a rare warning right now from the National Weather Service. This is a particularly dangerous storm. This thing's producing 4-inch size hail, so softball size hail or larger, and 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts. This is for Texas. This is just north of Dalehart, coming towards Dumas and Cactus. This is a particularly dangerous storm that can do a lot of damage. Let's take a look at how fast this one is moving southwest. They're saying that it's right now is 80-mile-per-hour winds and tennis ball size hail. That is crazy how big that hail is. And I'm guessing by the way the radar looks, that was before this uh, blue stuff started showing up here on the radar. This indicates that there is a very potent hail core. They're saying that it's 2.5 inch, but there are some readings that are over 4-inch size hail. That is incredible how big that hail is. That could do a serious amount of damage. So let's take a look at our timing for Dumas. Dumas looks like they're in direct line, but let me get an accurate sweep of this storm to see exactly where this thing is headed. Yeah, and it's making a beeline right for Dumas. I don't know if there's another town called Exum, and that is going to be in that area. That hail core, that very large hail core and damaging winds, it's going to be near Wilco and Exum around 9:13 p.m. So if you're in northern Texas, south of Amarillo, this is a dangerous storm, and it should be treated like a tornado warning. To be honest, by it has it has tornadic force wind over 74 mile per hour. It's actually got 80 mile per hour gusts inside of this storm. Let's take a look at our reflectivity, and that hail core is expanding as well. Hopefully, it's on the weakening trend, but there is an area of broad rotation with this storm. I would treat this just like a tornado, guys. This is a very dangerous setup. This storm actually kind of has me concerned a little bit. There's a couple areas of strong rotation on this storm. There's this area that I'm looking at right now, which would be a complete HP supercell, high precipitation, and we also got this area right here that's producing a little bit of rotation. Now they just gave me a new slide here. And I'm still seeing some of these returns. And this right here, very HP supercell. Once again, I'm also seeing some of the. So this is this is outflow right here, and this is inflow riding into the storm. So this is going out. So definitely some areas of rotation going on. It's kind of developing that maybe some dry air pushing away from the storm, but some very strong winds nonetheless. Definitely areas of rotation here. I would be very careful of this storm coming towards Dumas. Let's take a look. This storm was moving at over 30 miles per hour. Gonna take a guide here. We're about an hour away in the town of Dumas from this hitting, or less. So I would say about 45 to 50 minutes coming into Dumas, and now we're starting to get that hook too, which if this keeps developing, this could cause a tornadic development. So it's something to definitely watch. Um, this area is more favorable for damaging winds and hail today, but I mean, an isolated tornado cannot be ruled out. Dodge City is now under a multitude of different severe thunderstorm warnings. This is going to be again for Kansas. Some of these supercells here dropping some very large hail near Spearville, now moving away from Spearville. Another one to the north of that near Kingsley. Up here along this Highway 86 and 280 or 182, very strong severe weather magnet. I have seen some really intense supercells up through Kingsley storm chasing in the past. up towards Larned. Dodge City is also very strong magnet for severe weather. Um, if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask in the chat. I'd be more than happy to point you guys in the right direction. If you guys need a specific forecast or something that I can help with, please let me know, and I'll be more than happy to help take a look. Lots of severe weather going on right now across multiple states. We have severe weather in Oklahoma, now Texas, with this very, very large thunderstorm. This one actually has me pretty concerned for a possible tornado in the not too far future, or at least a brief spin up. I don't think the tornadoes would be big, but still damaging thunderstorm nonetheless, and it should be taken seriously. So definitely something to keep my eye on. I'm interested to see what the National Weather Service says as well. Definitely could be an embedded tornado in that HP supercell. We're looking at Dodge City has been very hard hit. Colorado, another state with a very, very large hail going on, a lot of damaging wind and hail events, a lot of supercells just to the east of Denver. Very strong, damaging winds. Another severe thunderstorm warning for around Colorado Springs. The storm kind of just recently popped up. We'll take a look at the last couple frames and see where this might head. This might track right along 94, like a lot of these other storms have been doing today. But this one literally formed over the southern end of Colorado Springs, and it's get a push over towards Ellicott. Was it? Yeah, Ellicott. I'll see it. And if I butcher the name of the town, it's not something I'm trying to do on purpose. It's that I've never heard of that place, so please bear with me. There's a lot of warnings. I mean, a ton. El Paso, Colorado, which is this. This is going to be El Paso, Colorado, is where this storm is. This is over El Paso County and central Colorado until 8:15. 60-mile-an-hour winds and quarter-size hail are falling over southern Colorado Springs at the moment. This would include areas like Statmore, Statmore Hills, Security, Kelker, going towards Winfield and Fountain. So if you're in those areas, you could probably see the storm getting a little bit stronger in the next couple minutes as this pushes to the southwest. A lot of these thunderstorms today have been pushing further and further southwest. This storm is just continuing to expand and expand and expand. Right now, the hail core has gotten much broader, but not as strong. So hopefully that storm starts on a weakening trend. Now we can take a look here back at the Stapleton storm. And it's still looking like it has the possibility of getting stronger. Yeah, so this is this more enclosed circulation. The wind's pushing out here, the wind's pushing this way here. So you're getting that rotation going right there. The winds are really actually pushing straight around, so this might be a rotating base. You're starting to get these winds that flow out of the storm. So it's interesting to see that feature for sure. That's relatively close to the radar. We're also seeing about 50, 51 mile per hour winds associated with the inside of this uh, little circulation here. Right now, don't think it's going to go tornado warn at this moment, but still something to keep your eye on. Definitely treat the storm seriously as it comes towards Stapleton, Nebraska. Still has that little hook echo around the back there, a little appendage, so definitely keep a lookout. This storm looks like it just formed near Ogalla. This one's going to be moving towards Paxton, Hershey, North Platte, Nebraska. North Platte's a pretty decent town. So watch out for this along Highway 80 as this forms. It's going to be more of a southwest moving storm. So, oh, you guys can't see it. Oops. I don't know why my thing is that zoomed in. It's something I'm just gonna have to play with. So yeah, guys, this is a pretty serious storm. Something to definitely take seriously um, as it starts to form, because that's going to be pushing right over south of Paxton as it gets stronger, and it's probably going to push toward North Platte, in between Hershey and Wallace. So, um, like I said, just keep a monitor. This could blow up into a supercell real quick. We're going to take a look at a couple other things here. Okay, so they discontinued the severe thunderstorm warning for Kansas City, but we still got that very large thunderstorm in Texas. This one still got one hell of a hail core right now. This is still producing um, possibly up to golf ball size hail at the moment, 2.5 inch. Well, golf ball is 1.75 inch. But it still looks like it's a pretty serious storm. I'm still seeing those 70 dBz values. They're still putting 3-inch hail, which is still over baseball size hail. So it's something still to take seriously as this pushes towards Dumas. Channing, be on alert for this. Dumas, Cactus. Um, there's a lot of other smaller towns in the way. Hartley, Texas. If anybody's in Hartley, I would definitely be watching out. But this is probably going to be pushing southwest. This a lot of storms today, and then pushing southwest. Exum is just starting to get into this storm. Very heavy rain and possibly some small hail, or it's possible for you. And over towards Farm to Market Road 2577. Be weary if you're near that road because of the hail core that's in that area. It's pretty serious. Now I start to see this little appendage here, so I'm gonna take a look at our velocity scans, and I do see what looks like this is inflow. That's outflow. That's inflow. So there's an interesting little return here. It could be some minor rotation going on there. Something to still take a look at. This is a very serious storm producing 80 mile per hour winds and very large hail. That could be doing some very strong damage near Dalehart. So this would be just to the east of Dalehart, northeast, east. Thank you guys for tuning in. There's a lot to go over. More and more storms are starting to pop up. We have a new one in Franklin, Nebraska. Take a look at these. So that storm is producing some very large hail and damaging wind. Yeah, so this is some pretty serious wind here. When you start getting into these yellows and oranges, you're starting to push 70-mile-per-hour winds, moving away from the radar. That is that is some intense wind. This is going to be inflow, so these winds are going to be pulling into the storm. Um, that can definitely do some damage. Broken tree limbs, stuff like that. So, also seeing some very large hail signatures here. This is going to be near Red Cloud, Nebraska, Riverton. Let's take a look here and see some of these hail potentials. And we got these 72 DBZ values, 75. You're talking probably softball, maybe even grapefruit size hail. Maybe some ice line. They're showing some softball and larger hail showing up on some of these um, Nexstar alerts. So something to definitely take seriously. These storms that produce these large hail can also produce tornadoes and very damaging wind. This is definitely a storm to keep an eye on as it gets closer to Red Cloud. Let's take a little bit of time to learn about this storm and how fast it's moving. We got a 45-mile-per-hour mover just to the southwest of Blue Hill. This thing is taking a south trajectory here. So let's take a look here. And they're saying that this storm, which is right here, was moving at 45 miles per hour. Let's take a look, put the worst part of this storm and track it. That's not right. Just take that. We're just going to basically follow this line straight down here. Now it's kind of taking an interesting little turn. I would say that's probably a good estimate of where this is going. I think it's going to go a little bit more of a southeastern direction, rather than that's south-southeast. I think this is going to be more southeast. So let's take a look. And that's 45 mile per hour. This will kind of give me a timeline of the of which towns could be affected in the next little bit with this particularly big hail core. Another thing that I'm starting to see is kind of a worrying sign here. Getting that classic horseshoe area of dry air, um, which can sometimes cause tornadoes to form in and around these cores. Um, might as well actually take a look at the signatures here, and I don't see anything alarming yet, so that's a good thing. Just looks like some inflow, so you're going to have dry air coming in, cutting the storm, which can also cause it to spin as it mixes with the outflow around here. So in all, is it Innival 6 minutes, Salem 29 minutes or less, Lebanon in 32 minutes or less, and Isbon in less than 35 minutes. If you know anybody in that area, please tell them to seek shelter immediately. These storms are moving right in that path, and the storm should be taken seriously. Let's see here. Thank you guys for watching the stream so far, and we're going to continue with our live coverage. Okay, so let me get my phone real quick. I'll be right back. me a brief second, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in so far. Let's get back into this, guys. All right, we're back in here, so let's take a look. So this storm is continuing to strengthen here. So we're gonna take a look at it again. We got this classic notch starting to form in here, which could. This is where tornadoes can sometimes form. So what I'm kind of taking a look at here is our velocity scans as this continues to strengthen. I don't see anything alarming, not yet as far as the velocity scans go. But starting to get that dry air coming into the storm, so it's something definitely to watch out for as you get this kind of horseshoe-shaped mesocyclone. We'll have to just watch that. Let's take a look at what else we got here. And this is showing winds greater than 50 miles per hour. This is going to be for Dodge City, Kansas, guys. It's very strong storms in and around the Dodge City area. And this one's just continuing to expand. I think it's going to start developing into more of a line of embedded supercells tonight. In fact, we could take a look at the extended forecast because this is going to be eventually pushing towards Wichita. But it looks like it's going to lose steam in the next couple hours. Now, these storms right here, this one's particularly pretty strong. And let's take a full look at this storm here. Take a look at it. Nothing as far as the rotation really going on in Ulysses. Now we're still taking a look here around Dodge City, and this is a very large storm. A couple of supercells decided to merge. Some of them were producing as large as 4-inch size hail, especially this one over towards Burnett and Roswell. So that's some pretty serious hail actually. That can do a lot of damage to houses, windows, cars, the metal. So, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to help ask any questions that you have. We're still going over a large amount of these warnings, and they go even into Tennessee. Has had some severe weather today. We're going to take a look at Tennessee right now. Tennessee over by Waverly, Tennessee. This is going to be pushing towards Charlotte. And this is not Charlotte, North Carolina. This is Charlotte, Tennessee. it's moving towards the Nashville area. So that is a classic supercell shape. I need to take a look to see here. And there's no rotation, inbound and outbound winds going on. This storm kind of looks like it's on the weakening side of things. But there is some severe weather potential all across this area. And, there's also a special weather statement around Memphis, Tennessee right now. Some developing storms starting to form over in Memphis. Usually you'll get a special weather statement before you get a severe thunderstorm warning. They'll have occasionally some people are live. Um, kind of a look. This is a look at their city hall right now. And you can definitely see some lightning going on. This is going to be in Olive Branch, Mississippi. That's just going to be south and west of Memphis, Tennessee. And you can definitely see that lightning going on. This is a real-time, real cam over Olive Branch, Mississippi. This is a really cool app. This is called Radar Scope. It's very handy to have. You can view live cams. You can actually see all of the weather data from these. I'm actually considering getting a very similar system to this or the system itself for mobile. So when I start storm chasing real hardcore next year, I'll be able to live stream it on the app as well as on YouTube. We're going to take a look here. I'm going to clear those times. Thank you guys for tuning in with me today. I do appreciate it. We're going to take a look. We have a lot of messages on the message board right now. We have severe thunderstorms for Pawnee County in Kansas, Hodgman County in Kansas, Edwards County in Kansas, Grant County in Kansas, Stanton County in Kansas, Smith and Jewell County in Kansas, Kiowa County and Crawley County in Colorado, Sherman, Hansford, Cimarron, Texas, Oklahoma, and Dalem, Texas counties. All these counties down here are all severe thunderstorm warnings. We can take a look at that storm. This is going to be on the Texas-Oklahoma border. Still some very strong, damaging hail and wind. This is going to be dropping 70-mile-per-hour winds and 2-inch hail. This is an absolute monster storm. It should be taken very seriously, just like a tornado warning. In fact, there's some pretty strong areas of mid-level rotation. It's moving very rapidly to the southwest. We got areas of rotation here. We got a little couplet here. This is a very strong area of low-level or mid-level rotation. I don't think we're that close to a radar station from here. I think the nearest one is going to be north in Amarillo, which I can see how far away that is. We're looking at about 59 miles. So this is about 6,000 feet up as the winds that I'm looking at right now. But still, some incredibly damaging winds. And it eventually could produce a tornado, Myco tornado warning. I'm sure right now the National Weather Service here in Texas is looking at this right now, also looking at this for potential of tornadic development. But right now I don't see anything super alarming. This would be on the edge of the anvil. Like right now, I don't know if they're probably taking a look at it, but it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next couple frames. If they decide to tornado warn that one. That one's going to be moving its general way over towards Panhandle, Texas, as well as Amarillo, so which are right down here along I-40. So just be careful, guys. Some very, very strong storms forming in these areas. Nothing really going on for Fort Worth today. Really nothing but heat here in Texas, period. That's the biggest concern that's going on in Texas right now is the intense heat. There's heat advisories all across Texas today. We could quickly take a look at some of the current temperatures here. Guess I'm not going to see the temperatures. But another thing we can do here, we can also go into this Dumas storm and kind of take it at a look from a different perspective, and that's the 3D perspective. So we can take a look at the storm heights here. This is going to be a very large storm. This is often what you call a jet here, or it could be even a hail spike. I don't know. Let's take a look. High rose. It could be an inflow jet, definitely on this storm. Let's see. Let me take a look at this. Yep, definitely looks like an inflow jet on that middle storm right here. Could be pumping in to do something interesting here in the future. But likely this is going to develop into a line of damaging storms. Seems to be the name of the game this season. With severe weather. It seems to be getting into these MCVs and MCSs, mesoscale convective systems. Um, I don't know, this looks like a low pressure itself. Um, but these um, rotating systems called mesoscale convective systems, they've been happening a lot this year. Same with a lot of straight line windbag events. Think I've gotten caught in more than a couple of them this year. They're always wild to go through, but it's been like a lack of tornadoes, which is good for the areas that usually get hit by them. But people need those supercells in order for their crops because they produce most of the year's worth of rain. That's one way to look at these storms as a benefit is all the rain that they give. We're still looking at these areas here, and currently I don't see anything that screams at me tornado at the moment. But still some very strong winds. We're going back into Nebraska where there's still some very large hail. Let's take a look back here. Oof. Starting to see that little curve right there, getting that horseshoe shape, which could be indicative that it could get ready to um, really start rotating here. Let's take a look at the velocities and see what they are saying here, and maybe some beginnings of some broad areas of rotation happening here. So definitely something to keep my eye on as far as looking at this, because this is starting to look like a little bit like a mesocyclone with some very large hail wrapping around it. Could be some easily 3 to 4 inch hail there. And that's going to be moving its way towards Arnold, Callaway. Let's do a timeline of that for you guys real quick. Thank you guys for tuning in. We have 6 people in the chat right now. I do appreciate it, guys. We're going to take a look at all the towns in the watch box that could be under threat from the storm here. And I'm taking it from the most intense part of this hail core here. And I'm going to kind of just follow the line. First of all, I kind of need to find how fast this storm is moving. 45. That's been kind of about what these storms have been kind of forming at today, about 45 mile per hour southwest movement on a lot of these storms. Let's take a look. 45 mile per hour. These are going to be your towns here that are in line to get hit. Hogland in less than 8 minutes, Logan in less than 13 minutes, Arnold in less than 22 minutes, uh, Flinchville in less than 31 minutes, Callaway in less than 44 minutes, Lodi in 52 minutes, and Oconto in 61 minutes. So if you're in this area, please seek shelter. Just be wary that this storm is very strong. This one in particular should be treated as a serious storm because of this kind of inward sea that's really starting to look like it's possibly starting to rapidly strengthen. Definitely an area to watch. Starting to see kind of tighter and tighter rotation couplets. This one's pretty loose. This is very disorganized rotation right now. But starting to get a little bit better looking rotation on this storm. So if you're in those areas, just be mindful that the storm is coming. It's going to probably produce 70 plus mile an hour winds. I would say could even do as much as 80. We'll have to keep watching the storm. This is one that, out of all these right now, looks very. This looks like it has the best chance of producing a tornado right now. Let's take a look at the structure of the storm. So I got some very high cloud tops. You can see the very large hail way up here in the top of the thunderstorm. And they just keep getting pulled in by these 100-mile-per-hour updrafts that right up here. The hail kind of just bounces around at the freezing level. And then as soon as it gets too big, it gets baseball size up here, 50, 60,000 feet in the air. It'll drop at over 100 miles per hour down. And it can cause some pretty serious damage when it does it. Trust me, I know. My windshield has felt it a couple of times. Thank you guys for tuning in so far. Like I said, if anybody does have any questions, please feel free to join me in the chat. Don't be a stranger. Say hello. And, make sure to definitely say hi back. Hopefully everybody's having a great day so far, and hopefully everybody's being safe. These storms are pretty serious, guys. Just please be careful if you're in these areas here. Still taking a look at this, kind of watching to see slide to slide. And yeah, see, this is what's got me kind of concerned right here. This is starting to get some pretty. It's starting to get a little organized with the rotation here. And that's on the outside of the thunderstorm. So, it could be a developing mesocyclone. It's not a very loud and screaming couplet, but it is air going inward and also air going out of the storm. So these winds are going to be going outward. These winds are going to be going like that. So So yeah, so those winds are kind of mixing, but like I said, this is probably nothing to be super alarmed about right now. But if it continues to get worse, um, there are some storm chasers in the area, storm spotters with the National Weather Service, who will report on it if they see it. Right now, I haven't been able to see anything on Twitter for a couple of minutes. So, because all of these photos of these storms come right into my live feed. Um, right now, there was a live storm chaser. I don't know what Vince is doing right now. I think he ended his live at the moment. As the daytime heating starts to die off, so will these storms. But right now, some of these storms are still very strong. Kind of still taking a look at a lot of these. That one's not showing any rotation, just very strong inflow winds on some of these supercells. Looking back at Kingsley, up towards Burnett, strong line of storms still there. Kind of becoming more of a line of storms. Same with Ulysses. We're going to take a look down at Oklahoma and Kansas. Oklahoma and Texas, I mean. Take a look here. This is going to be at the one that was over by Dumas. Kitty. So there is a little bit of a rotation couplet. Like I said, nothing to be super alarmed here, but something to definitely monitor with that going southbound. Let's take a look out and see what towns could be in its path here. We'll go ahead and circle that again and then draw a line. These storms were moving at 45 miles per hour. Oh, that's a horrible line, FYI. Apparently, I need to go back to school and learn how to draw lines. We're going to take that straight south here and put in that 45 mile parameter. Why is this not working all of a sudden? Okay, so now it starts to work after I get mad at it. Take this again, track it down, about the same angle as that one, 45 mile per hour. And here are the towns that are in line of this. It's going to be Bonista. We have Four-Way. I'm getting a little kinky now. Just kidding. XL, Masterson, and Marsh. And that was a joke. Says the population is 0, but I'm sure somebody lives in those areas. Otherwise, those towns would not have. Unless they're just abandoned towns out there. But I think Masterson has people. It might just be impacting mostly empty areas of land. Definitely could be what that's stating there. Masterson definitely could be affecting people, and Bonista down towards these areas. It's not a very heavily populated area, but it's going to be coming in close vicinity with Highway 87. Which people do travel on to get from Lubbock to Amarillo. So I'm continuing to monitor that one too for possible tornado development. Still looks like it's trying to get its act together with some rotation right here. Starting to really see those reds and greens touching, especially right here. That could be a possible tornado developing here very soon. And they might issue a tornado warning. So it doesn't look like it's anything super strong. It probably is just kicking up dust. It could be a gustnado is what they call them. Just be wary, people, if you're out in this area. If you're new here to my channel, please consider subscribing. And I'll be starting to do some live storm chases here in the future. This year, I'm pretty much going to be sticking to the state of Texas. Next year, I look to do some more expanding into areas of Oklahoma, Kansas, and elsewhere as well. But this year, I'm just trying to build this channel, and I want to try to build a base before I go live doing storm chasing next year. I might do some live storm chasing this year, but I really gotta get over 1,000 to be able to go live on my phone and be able to do the mobile live streams. Eventually, I'll have my laptop built into my car, stuff like that. So that stuff will be coming up. If you guys have a particular area you want me to focus on, please put it down in the chat below. I've got 5 people watching, 4 people like the stream. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate your support, your help. Still taking a look at this line of thunderstorms. We can kind of also take a projection of who could be affected later on this evening as well. And how I'm going to do that is I can actually have my modeling forecast built right into my software here. So I can actually do future projections as well. Kind of get a look here at what could happen here in the very near future with these storms. It looks like we're going to keep pushing these storms south of Colorado Springs. Some of them could be still fairly strong. Maybe some more storms forming on the... sorry, I had a fly go right in front of my face. Some of these stronger storms could be forming on the Oklahoma-Kansas line around the Panhandle near Elkhart and northbound. But it looks like you're going to develop more of some just very heavy rain, maybe some isolated storms. More southern than that, you're going to be looking at some isolated strong to severe thunderstorms, especially around Great Bend over towards Lamar, Colorado. Looks more like a heavy rain with isolated strong storms involved in those. We'll keep taking a look here. 6 hours out from now. Still looking at some strong storms. Maybe some stronger storms fire up around 3 a.m. early in the morning on the Oklahoma, Kansas. It would be the Oklahoma, Kansas, Colorado line. This is going to be around the Comanche National Grassland sometime around 3 a.m. this morning, or tomorrow morning. So just watch out in these areas. Some very strong to severe storms could be still firing up as late as 3 a.m. We're going to keep taking a look here. 8 hours out. God, the fly's still coming in front of my face. Gonna get you, dude. We're going to continue to take a look here. Some of these storms are still going to be in and around this area, especially around the North Texas Panhandle, to the Oklahoma Panhandle, to very extreme southeastern Colorado into southwestern Kansas, maybe even as far into as Wichita. And these storms are going to just keep going pretty much all evening long. And then it looks, whoa, I kind of jumped the gun there. Let's see what look here. So we got 10 o'clock here. Looks like some storms really start to fire up right on the Texas Panhandle around Pampa, sometime around 6 a.m. in the morning. And then they fire off very strong into Oklahoma. So Texas and Oklahoma Your threat of severe weather is going to be for tomorrow morning, as well as going on right now near Dumas and near Amarillo. So those severe storms really start to get kind of clustered. It's going to be more of like a cluster with embedded supercells. That's going to be pushing its way over towards Oklahoma City. Some large damaging winds are possible. You see that backward C. Could be some very intense winds coming into Oklahoma City or near probably El Reno, um, over towards Weatherford, probably around 9 o'clock in the morning. We're gonna take a closer look. So it's 13 hours out. Yeah, see, it's kind of a mesoscale convective system that goes into Oklahoma by tomorrow, and then it begins to really bow out, going down into central and western. It's going to be pushing its way down into southeastern Oklahoma. So it could get particularly hairy, probably 70, 80 mile per hour winds with quarter size hail. And that really bows out near Fort Smith. This could be a particularly damaging wind event for Fort Smith sometime around 1 o'clock in the afternoon tomorrow. So something to definitely watch out for Fort Smith tomorrow. And that continues to push off and even gets stronger as it comes into areas just to the west of Little Rock, Russellville, Arkansas. This is going to be a very strong mesoscale convective system, or MCS. And there's a little bit of a low pressure, so that's this could be some very strong winds. Whole time this is spinning this way, so those winds could get very, very strong, 70, 80 mile per hour, maybe some embedded supercells with some kind of quasi-linear convective tornadoes involved. But most likely it's going to be a damaging wind hail event. And probably tornado risk probably isn't going to be all that high in that mesoscale. But you can get some minor spinning stuff. So it's kind of an idea of what you guys can come to expect tomorrow. Um, like I said, if anybody has a particular area they want me to take a look at, especially with these severe weather in these areas, um, be more than happy to look. If you're in Kansas, Colorado, North Texas, Nebraska, I know South Dakota had some very strong storms earlier. But it looks like for the most part, these storms have mostly pushed. We're taking a look back at this storm right now. It's these isolated supercells I get kind of weary about having rotation happen, because they're not having any other storms really feeding off. They're kind of unimpeded with a ton of hot air pouring into them, so they're just going to keep feeling and feeling and be very long track. Um, these storms are kind of starting to de-escalate. They're still severe, but probably some damaging winds on the back end of this storm near Haskell. Take a look over here towards Hugoton. This is over here in Kansas, and to the southwest of Dodge City. This storm here still possibly damaging winds. Doesn't even have a severe thunderstorm warning, so less than 50 miles per hour. The storm's probably going to be diminishing. This storm here could still have some very, very strong winds. This storm we're going to take a look at these storms are kind of being pulled in, I believe, to. Gotcha, you little bug. Sorry. No, we're not using the squirrel word. Still monitoring this area very, 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 very heavily right now for rotation. Um, this starting to look like a decent couplet right here. And if this continues to get stronger, and now it's kind of moved on into a different radar frame, so it's going to be kind of hard to detect right now what's going on with that storm. I definitely see some area rotation with that storm. Maybe some minor low level to minor mid level rotation. Could be a wall deepening base. Something to just watch out for. Guys, I'm going to take a quick break. If anybody has any questions, feel free to drop it in the chat. I will be right back. It would help if I turned my volume on so you guys could actually hear me. But so we're still monitoring these storms here, guys. I just needed to stand up for a quick second because of my back. But still taking a look here at this storm near Dumas. This is going to go southeast towards Fritch, towards the Amarillo area. So something to watch for coming into Amarillo. Some very large damaging gorilla hail, 3.5 inch and 4-inch hail being reported earlier out of this storm. Also, some minor rotation looked like it was forming with this storm. Taking a look here now into some of these times. So let's go here. Take a look at our velocity scans. Still looks like there could be some minor rotation happening here. I definitely have to keep a look for some very damaging hail occurring right here, and right here. This pink area is going to be anywhere from about golf ball to about quarter size. This blue area is going to be baseball and bigger. 3-inch, it could be even softball size hail. You don't get into grapefruit until you're about 5-inch diameter, and that's devastating silverback gorilla size hail, as Reed Timmer likes to call it. But thank you guys for staying with me here. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Still got some severe storms here. We got Kiowa, Kansas, the Haskell area. Um, I see them probably removing the severe thunderstorm warning here pretty soon. Um, that storm looks like it's winding down. I don't see as much of a hail core on that. Definitely some storms starting to fire off that are getting somewhat strong here to the east of Colorado Springs. We'll take a look at our velocity scans on this. Not really seeing as much as the velocity other than some very strong outflow dominant storms. That's what these really seem to be, is outflow dominant. Take a look here at this storm up here north. This one's starting to look like it's dwindling. This one's probably still feeding off of those other storms, but even now the storm's starting to look like it's kind of tapping into some more stable air. So definitely something to keep watching as it keeps going towards Panhandle and White Deer and Pampa. Let's keep taking a look here. Looking at North Dakota, or sorry, I'm looking at, this is going to be Kansas here. This looks like a newly forming supercell. And this is going to be near Manito, or Mankato, Kansas. Starting to get a little bit of a hook on it. Take a look at the velocity scans. Looks like it's mostly inflow. Storm's still firing up really hard. Some quarter-size hail. That's going to be moving its way into Asherville, Solomon Rapids, Glen Elder, Cawker City. So if you're in any of those areas, just keep watch over this, because this is going to possibly get stronger. We'll have to definitely keep an eye on that. Now this one is the Powerhouse Nebraska supercell. This is producing 3+ inch size hail. It says 1.5, but this bluish area is indicated much bigger baseball and larger size. So 2.75 inch hail and larger. We'll take a look at the velocities here. And this one might actually be producing a tornado, or at least a very strong rotating base. Got a nice little couplet there, but we are pretty far away from the radar, so it could be a false negative. But this still looks like it could be producing maybe a tornado. So definitely have to keep a tab on that. That's going to be moving its way towards Callaway, Nebraska at 9:58 p.m. And it's going to be moving towards Ocado sometime around 10:15ish. So if you're in that area, please seek shelter immediately. This is a very dangerous storm. Baseball-sized hail going around this circulation, and what I mean by that is I've marked this circulation right here, and you can see where this hail core is wrapped around the main circulation. That's usually evident in mesocyclones, where you get this notch right here, this kind of backward C horseshoe look. That's usually when you have that, you usually will have your inflow and outflow mixing, so you'll get your severe storms. Be very interested to see if anybody in that area is actually reporting on a possible tornado, just because of how serious that looks. I don't know if anybody right now is in Callaway. The closest storm spotter I have to that area is going to be McCall D. Okay, so this individual is actually live streaming her storm chase right now. I kind of just I'm gonna look at her stream just to kind of see what she's looking at right now, but it is getting dark up there. So um, it's saying her link for her YouTube channel isn't working. Definitely keep an eye on that. I was hoping to maybe see if that she was on YouTube live streaming that because this looks like a very dangerous storm. It's continuously holding that rotation couplet right there, and this is going to be moving right towards Oconto and Eddyville here very soon. So if this continues, I guarantee that the North Platte National Weather Service is taking a good close look at this right now. So be interested to see what they say, what they think. Definitely looks like that there could be something spinning under there, whether it's a tornado or some kind of wall cloud. Thank you guys for the 4 people watching right now. I do appreciate your support. And as always, make sure to consider subscribing for more updates on severe weather. We're going to be having a lot of severe weather over the next 5 days. It's going to be a persistent severe weather pattern. So definitely make sure to subscribe to the channel to get updated of what's going on. I'm going to be covering this over the next couple of days as this severe weather threat continues. Hopefully soon I'll be able to actually go on a chase myself. But yeah, this is looking like a pretty serious storm. Callaway, you're about to get hit, probably with some quarter-size hail, I would assume. South of you, we're going to take a look at some of these areas here. Over towards Etna, there's a whole lot of really empty space right here. But this is coming right towards Eddyville and Buffalo. So, Lodi, Oconto, I'd be very, very watchful of this storm because this thing is very strong. Velocity scans, kind of some minor rotation, guys. Minor mid-level rotation. So it'll be interesting to see if this thing continues to gain strength as it gets closer and closer to the radar setup. Still quite a bit away from our radar there. I'm trying to see if there's one closer that could give me a different look. And see, even this one that's a little bit closer. This radar station is in Colorado or in Wyoming, in Thereford, Wyoming. Okay, so they did post a signature now. They have a Mezzo TBS signature here, so that's interesting to see. Kind of verifying what I was thinking of. Starting to think that there's more of a TVS signature there, but the National Weather Service saying it's over here. So let's take a look at our TVS signature on what it looks like on radar. And for me, it seems like it's going to be closer to where I circled, but I'm still starting to get that that notch. So it'll be interesting to see here what happens with this. On velocity, my guess the rotation would be right here in this inflow notch. And that's going to be coming towards Oconto. It's a pretty serious storm, guys. Please, please, if you're in this area of Nebraska, take this storm seriously. Special weather statement has now been posted for Eddyville. Kind of curious to see what they're saying. Wind gusts of 50 miles an hour, probably because there's probably a gust front ahead of the storm. Let's take a look here. See if, well, gust front usually is indicative of there being a strong outflow boundary, and there's still a good amount of rotation right here. It's very mid-level. It's very broad rotation. It's nothing that screams that there's a tornado on the ground right now, but something to definitely keep watching. If there is a storm tonight that could produce a tornado, it's going to be this one, or it's going to be the one that's over down near Dumas, Texas. We're going to go back to that storm too. Take a look back at Texas storm. It's going to be down here in Texas as well. Mostly inflow on this storm. We're still seeing, okay, so there's probably a shelf cloud involved over the Dumas area. Kind of what it looks like right now. Let's take a look. So my guess is if you were on the ground, you would probably see this big old shelf cloud. Underneath here is probably some very damaging wind, exceeding 50 to 60 miles per hour. We'll take a look at some of these velocities here. We got some 50 to 60 mile per hour winds. So yeah, I mean, I wasn't too far off. This is going to be coming into Masterson, Texas here very soon. So if you're in that area, just please be careful. That's going to be pushing its way over towards just near Amarillo and Panhandle in a little bit. So it'll probably be around 11 o'clock if it still maintains its strength. It's been very hot in this area today. This is a typical time of year to get this kind of development. These storms that really blow up over Texas. They called for a moderate, or not moderate, marginal risk. That'd be a 5% chance of severe weather, and it looks like they were right to put that there. And that 5% is probably going to be in Oklahoma City with that developing MCS tomorrow morning. That's probably what's forming right now. Still watching that Broken Bow storm. A lot of these other storms I'm not too worried about, but these two are the ones that I'm most concerned about, producing large damaging wind, hail, and the possibility of tornadoes. The rotation does not look all that great right now. Some very broad rotation, but I do appreciate everybody who has joined up here on the live stream. We got some more severe thunderstorm warnings being posted in Kansas. Let's take a look at that. This is going to be back over Kansas City area. This is going to be Overland Park. Some very heavy rain is falling over Overland Park and Prairie Village right now. Prairie Village, Indian Village, south of the Kansas City, Kansas area. This is going to be on the Kansas side, not quite in Missouri, but they definitely could be extended into Missouri as this pushes southeast. So got some more storms forming up near Kansas and Nebraska. Take a look here at this storm. It's a little bit of a linear storm. Some damaging winds this could bow out and be come something a little bit stronger down the road. This storm had lost its severe thunderstorm warning, but still is a strong storm, probably frequent lightning coming into Beloit, Kansas. Um, this is going to be pushing more of a directly eastern progression. Might develop into a linear system. I don't, with maybe an embedded supercell, but I would pretty much say this could be the start of damaging wind event happening if this continues to persist. This storm up here up north, Callaway, Oconto, Eddyville, Summer, any of these areas are under threat from this. I mean, it's still very strong storm. Like I said, very broad rotation. Don't see any. I just see it as a major hail and damaging wind event going on right now. So just be careful. But this is my numero uno storm for producing a tornado. If it was to tonight, this is the closest one I've seen tonight that looks like it had the opportunity. And it still might, but most of the right now you're losing the daytime heating. So this storm finally is starting to fizzle out near Dumas. Still some dime-sized hail. If it could still tap into some more unfavorable air as it comes over north of I-40. See, they have this pushing towards Amarillo, Panhandle. This is going to be more and more stable air that's going to be pushing into that high pressure system, which is absolutely dominant over South and Central Texas right now. So, thank you guys for tuning in. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask. Trying to keep everybody alerted and updated. Still some stronger storms up into Tennessee and moving their way into Kentucky here, but nothing severe at the moment. That's probably going to dwindle down as the evening goes on. The main area that's really going to need to be watched is going into late this evening into early morning for this area as well. I just see that there's possible damaging wind event starting to form, and they're going to push that slight risk right over Kansas City tomorrow as it gets closer to Fort Smith. I guarantee for the early morning hours, because this looks like by 11 o'clock tomorrow, it looks like a very strong system moving towards Fort Smith. We're still looking at some of these storms over near Dodge City. Doesn't look like there's anything super worrying. Maybe some large hail, but a lot of these storms lost their severe thunderstorm warning and are now just very heavy rain and thunder and lightning. Same with this line here. Nothing that screams anything out of the ordinary. This is the one that's just been an absolute powerhouse for quite some time. Very long track storm, producing some isolated areas, probably around 3-inch hail and 70-mile-per-hour plus winds. Still very dangerous storm. Still got some of this wrapping in wind. So you got these winds going like this, And these winds going outward. So you got this little rotation couplet here. Still kind of taking a look at that. You got kind of a couple areas of rotation right here. Matter of fact, you got this. Oh, well, they just updated it on me. Let's take a look. You got this little minor area of rotation right here. So, I mean, it could be trying to cycle and still develop into something. But with the daytime heating losing out, this thing is still powerhousing its way down into Kearney. Um, this is going to be coming into Miller sometime around 11 with this damaging hail. It's probably a little bit before 11. That is some unbelievably large hail. And how long it's been actually dropping large hail is even more staggering. I mean, you're easily seeing some of those 75 dBz, so that's decibels. Um, that's showing that there is a large sounding for very large hail, possibly covering the roads, possibly over baseball size. Could be even larger, closer to softball 4-inch hail. So very, very, very dangerous storm. And I'll be continuing to monitor that storm, guys. We have a media group, KNRW Media Group, the Kearney Storm Chasers. So they're a local team based for the news station. We got a new slide here. Let's take a look. See. Still a couple of areas here to watch out for. Spin ups. Sometimes you can get a small tornado and then an anticyclonic tornado that form like some of these storms. So let's take a play-by-play of yeah. See that rotation is getting stronger and stronger there as it comes into Nebraska here. Let's take a look. I wouldn't be surprised if they issue a tornado warning. They got a couple of areas of rotation here. Really, really piquing my interest in this storm right here. Just because it seems to be getting quite strong, broad area of rotation. This is going to be coming closer and closer to the Blue Hill Station, so see it's not as powerful on this slide, but we still got some minor broad area of rotation here and here, so keep watching it, see what happens. That's the one I'm going to be most focusing on right now, just because the storm has the biggest threat level out of all these, including a tornadic signature that was posted by the National Weather Service earlier. Just kind of still a very strong storm, guys. We're still taking a look at possible development here. Just looks like it's going to be some very strong damaging winds. Some of these outflow winds at the mid levels are very high, 90 plus mile per hour. Probably not making it to the ground. I would say probably to the ground you're probably getting 70 plus miles per hour wind. Maybe even at 70, 75 at the max. You're probably getting about 80% of that to the ground in the US, but it is interesting to keep watching it as the storm is packing a lot of energy. 90 mile an hour, but like I said, 80% of that's probably going to the ground. So you're having probably 60 to 75 readings are some very intense wind. 125. There could be some very, very damaging winds going on in the southern part of that storm. We'll take kind of a correlation of what that area looks like on the actual velocity radar. That's on the southern edge of this hail core. You got that crazy bow right here. And with that bow, you can get some very damaging wind as it pushes away from the storms. This section is becoming kind of outflow dominant. Not a whole lot of areas to be affected right now, but that could change if it gets closer to Blue Hill or Red Hill. That's going to be moving its way towards Eddyville. It's very strong. So this hail core is about 13.7 miles from Eddyville. So people in Eddyville, Sumner, Miller, you really need to take this storm seriously. This is a very damaging storm. Very high wind. Probably looks really ugly in person. There's still a little bit of rotation, but it's very weak. It's just a monster hail producer. I mean, we're talking over baseball-sized hail coming towards Eddyville. If the storm maintains its path when it hits town. These storms down here, they're still looking relatively, they're strong storms. They're definitely severe warms. They're not quite the 60,000 foot tall monster supercell that this storm is. But still could get some damaging winds out of those storms that in excess of 58 miles per hour. And this storm is still wanting to feed into that very warm air along those triple points, some very high Cape values probably in between this area, and it's just continuing to feed right on this low pressure system. I mean, this thing is just picked an absolute crazy spot to set up and explode. Continue to take a look at it. Not really showing that strong of rotation anymore, but still dropping monster-sized hail. Oconto, if I were you in Oconto, Nebraska, I would seek shelter in your house right now and be away from windows. This is 3+ inch hail, at least 2.75 inch or larger hail, baseballs, coming right into Oconto. And that's going to be making a beeline towards Eddyville. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for joining. I do appreciate it, guys. Thank you for the one person who's still watching. I do appreciate it. If you guys know anybody in these surrounding areas, or have any loved ones in these areas, so now they just issued that severe thunderstorm warning for places like Eddyville, Sumner, Miller, Amherst. As this continues to have absolute monster hail. This thing is a prolific hail producer. Monster gorilla size hail. Still some area of rotation here, still spinning. I've got a couple of areas. It's a very high precipitation supercell. This thing is packing. It's going to travel right down towards Kearney, maybe even Elk Creek, Odessa Township. Let's take a little bit of a track here on some of these cores. The storm is moving 15 miles per hour, so it's going to be in town rather quickly. Let's take a look. We got this hail core. Pretty much making a line for the west side of Kearney, 50 miles per hour. So this is kind of a look. I'll zoom out here. We got Eddyville in less than 14 minutes. Eddyville, you seriously need to seek shelter because your windows will get blown out. as this comes into town. This is some monster hail. Sumner, you have about 23 minutes. Miller, 30 minutes. Trude, you have about 37 minutes. Amherst, about 40 minutes. Elm Creek, you have about 41 minutes or less. Odessa, you have 48 minutes or less. Riverdale, 48 minutes. Prairie Center, Alpha Center, Glenwood. Kearney in about less than an hour, and same with Buda, you have less than an hour. If you're in any of these towns that I just mentioned, you need to be watching the storm seriously, because this is a particularly dangerous situation with this storm. Very bad, damaging wind and hail. That's what this storm has. And this has some minor mid-level rotation, so I'd still watch it, guys, as this comes closer and closer to the radar. Very, very strong inflow wind on this storm, and I'm seeing some of these values upwards of 60 to 80 miles per hour as it gets closer and closer to Eddyville. Even some isolated spots here to the south, 134 mile per hour wind, but that's not making it to the ground all the way. You're probably seeing 80 to 90 mile per hour winds with that one little section, which can still do some very strong damage. It's kind of a wind anomaly there. It's very strong. So, Kearney, please keep this one in mind as that comes towards town. This is a very, very nasty thunderstorm, very strong, high precipitation. Supercell, as it keeps pushing further and further south. This is going to be near Amherst around 11, just to the north of the Amherst area. This is going to be moving its way into Amherst, Odessa Township, Kearney, in the next hour and change or so. If you're in this area, guys, please keep this storm in mind. This is the nastiest storm going on right now. Out of all the storms in the United States, this is the one that needs to be really kept a tab on because of how large the hail is. This could cause some pretty strong devastation as far as the hail damage. We're still taking a look at here and taking a look at what is going on as far as the winds are going. Still a rotation couplet on this. That's going to be making its way pretty close to Eddyville here in the next 15 minutes or so. Eddyville, seriously, if I were in that town, Sumner, you really need to watch out. This could have some very, very bad damage as far as the hail goes. Very large hail indicated here, indicated here. These are three. Oh, actually, I'll go ahead and say 2.75, so baseball size, to 3.25 inch hail. So we're going baseball to softball size hail. It's actually closer to large apple, like a Macintosh apple size. And I'm not talking about a laptop sized piece of hail. talking about an actual like red, juicy, big apple. That's about 3.25 inch. Very, very strong supercell thunderstorm. Yeah, see that right there. That might be a developing. Yeah, see right in between this hail core, you have the hail wrapping around the circulation. I would not be surprised if the storm soon goes tornado. Be very interesting to see what happens in the next couple minutes. I'm going to keep this on, guys, real quick. I'm going to step out for just a couple of minutes, and I'll let this auto play for you guys. Just give me a couple of minutes, guys. Let's take a look. Yeah, see, this is starting to get a little bit tighter of a circulation here. We have these winds wrapping around here. These winds wrapping this way. There's this little tight circulation, so we got a little bit of left to right movement, and definitely watch this inner core for having a tornado warning. Still possible that it can produce a weak tornado, but this thing is just absolute monster with hail. Like I said, Eddyville, Sumner, Keller, or Miller, Amherst, Odessa Township, and Kearney. You need to watch this storm seriously. This thing has some absolute monster hail, and it's just riding that cold front straight into Kearney. So it has a ton of energy to just keep pushing. Still looking incredibly strong. So we've got multiple areas of rotation. Just bear with me, guys. I'll be right back to you. Zoom out so you guys can see. This is the most serious of these storms here. Thank you guys for the 3 people still watching. These storms are, it is completely nighttime with the storms coming in. Trying to keep people updated. They might not see what's coming. Large hail forming right now. People who are looking for news about these storms going on. We've got quite a few of them ongoing. continue to take a look. Step away from that storm for just a second. We're going to look at Elkhart, and this is going to be Kansas into the Oklahoma Panhandle. This thing was producing some larger hail earlier. Was very interesting looking supercell that's probably dying out right now. Still some quarter-size hail in some of these areas to the east of Elkhart. We'll take a look back down at our storm going near Amarillo. Still severe thunderstorm warned. Really starting to look weak now. Wouldn't be surprised if this was a severe thunderstorm warning as it comes into this more stable atmosphere. It's well below the actual warm front right here. So let's take a look in Kearney because this storm has the potential just to keep going and going and going as it's right along that triple point tonight. This storm's an absolute monster. This has been on the track for can't tell you how many hours. At least I've seen it as far north as Stapleton and Mullen earlier. This thing's been a very long trek. In fact, if I actually zoom out, I can show you how long ago this thing formed. So I'll go through the whole early afternoon into the evening hour here. That storm kind of started forming like way up here. That storm has probably been going on from at least almost, I think it started near the South Dakota line, to be honest with you. This thing's been ongoing, so it's starting to lose a little bit of its heat as it comes into Eddyville, thank God, because it was pretty powerful. Now it's dropping probably quarter size near Eddyville. Take a look at its velocity signature. Maybe some broad mid to upper level rotation going on. Nothing serious, but this is some pretty strong inflow right here. Pouring into the storm. This is outflow right here. Shooting out of the storm. Going away from the radar. Eddyville's probably seeing some pretty strong, possibly damaging wind. Wouldn't be surprised. Especially with this little inflow jet here. Yeah, it's starting to kind of peter out over Eddyville, but it still might strengthen, but it's lost a little bit of that daytime heating, so it's going to be coming right into this area here. Sumner Miller Amherst over towards Still got quite a few tabs here. We got Stevens, Kansas. Let's take a look at some of the Kansas storms going on right now. Some relatively decent hail over Hugoton right now. So we have these kind of elongated supercells, and it looks like it's losing a little bit of its steam, but it still might keep on its path. The hail about an hour ago near Elkhart was a lot bigger, so I'm kind of seeing a weakening trend in a lot of these storms. It's good. That storm is about to lose its severe thunderstorm warning as it comes into Panhandle. I don't see much further development with that storm. This storm is starting to form on the Colorado line, kind of a linear system, but could develop into a supercell. That's going to push right into the Kansas area. This is going to push right into Syracuse, Kansas. Maybe just north of there in Garden City. Take a look at the Dodge City radar as that kind of pushes this way. This area has already been hit today, so it's probably a rain-cooled area. So I don't see much of a big development happening there. There'll probably be some strong storms, but nothing as far as a lot of storms. Taking a look back up in Kearney here. Starting to have another little bit of strengthening going on with the hail core right over Eddyville. So this storm isn't done yet because it's riding right along this this trough here. So I mean, it's still continuing. Very strong storm, very persistent, probably 70-80 mile an hour winds in some of these areas. Sumner, Miller, Amherst, Riverbank, and Kearney, you really need to watch this storm. It's going to continue to ride this trough. Every time it looks like it's about to weaken, it kind of recycles and pulls more unstable atmosphere. It's very unstable conditions right along that low pressure. Very strong outflow winds going on with this storm. As much as 70 to 80 mile per hour mid-level outflow, which could be putting about 60 to 70 on the ground with some possibly baseball-sized hail. Could produce some damage. So. Still watching it, guys. Watching to make sure. I don't think this is going to be a tornado threat from this point on. I think it's just going to be a damaging wind. And you can really see that here with this backward C. This is outflow and large hail, so it's going to be wind-driven hail, which could cause some damage as it comes towards Overton, Elm Creek, Kearney, even towards Sumner. Sumner's probably getting some very, very strong outflow winds from this. I would even say as far as Lexington, Nebraska. So guys, please watch out for this. Could be a particularly dangerous situation. It could be coming into Kearney sometime around 11:30 p.m. Still some minor areas of some 2.75-inch hail. Probably hitting the ground as golf balls or bigger. Possibly some minor baseball-sized hail falling in this area. And there has been reports of 3 and 4-inch hail earlier in the storm's path, and it still just continues to recycle. So that storm is very, very nasty. As the supercell moves over into Amherst and Riverdale, these storm tops are very high, 45,000 feet. Shown here in this 3D model of this storm. It is very, very tall. I am using currently the Radar Omega app right now that allows me to go into a three-dimensional view to show the top of some of these thunderstorms, and they're showing as high as 45,000 feet with these storms. They were quite a bit higher. They were up in the 50,000 range over near Brewster, and but still, you have some very, very large hail. With the cooling of the atmosphere, so your freezing level is probably right around here. So these hailstones will keep getting circulated into these updrafts, kind of bounce around, and as they grow and they become too big, they fall back to the ground as large hail. You're going to see that particularly large hail around the 45,000 foot part of the storm. You're going to probably see some tennis ball size hail falling around Eddyville. What the fuck? No, that's a fire ant. Sorry, I had a big old fire ant walking my arm. Sorry, guys. Not used to that. Man, that thing was a hunk of fire ant too. I have not a clue. I just saw it. It like went up through my chair, and my arm was right here, and it latched onto my arm. I didn't feel it bite, thank God. But if I kept letting it crawl on me, it probably wouldn't. Sorry guys, didn't mean to cuss. Kind of got a little. I'm not a huge fan of ants. Yeah, this is becoming a predominantly damaging wind event. Coming into Sumner and over towards Kearney. Really starting to get this really nasty bow echo here. This backward C, as sometimes you can get some spin ups right here in these inflow notches. kind of like horseshoe shaped area. Kind of continuing to take a look here at our velocity signatures, and that kind of verifies that there is some rotation there. I would still keep a lookout, but I don't see anything that's super alarming at the moment. But definitely keep that in mind. That backward C area can produce tornadoes. Um, that that inflow notch. What I mean by inflow notch is these winds are wrapping into the storm like this. This is pushing the winds outwards. This is pushing the wind outward. These winds are wrapping around on the outside. These winds are pulling in. So you can get some little minor spin ups in these areas. Looks like the area of rotation is going to be within that little notch. And yeah, they can produce a weak tornado, but mostly you're going to have this damaging wind field right here. And usually that little weak tornado will spin up right underneath the anvil, right under that shelf cloud. If you're in Miller, you probably see this very distinct, this very distinct shelf cloud going on right now. This is probably one part of the shelf. This is another part. This is going to be the area where the worst damaging wind is. Also, some very destructive hail coming towards Miller. And they just keep extending that severe thunderstorm warning as it goes into Kearney. This storm is going to train right along this boundary right here with the hot and cool air. As it gets over into Kearney, it might start losing some of its strength, but this thing is a absolute powerhouse. Very intense thunderstorm, very intense winds. And now it's really starting to verify that here on the velocity right here, right along that bow echo, getting some very intense wind here. Some wind-driven, heavy rain, flooding rain. I wouldn't be surprised if they issue a flash flood warning here in the not too far future. We're taking a look at some of these values here. Some 70, 80 mile an hour winds at the low levels, or at the mid levels. So you're probably getting some 65 to 75 mile per hour winds in some of these areas. That's going to be pushing right towards Elm Creek and Odessa Township. Yeah, you guys need to take these seriously. This can easily blow trees down. Make sure that if you have any loose items that you don't want to have blown around in your backyard, to secure those now. If you're in Kearney and Odessa Township, Elm Creek, if you're in any of those areas, definitely take a look at securing those items now. Looks like that is so. There's only 2 severe thunderstorm warnings. The other one's going to be in Texas, Oklahoma. That's going to be Texas County and the Panhandle of Oklahoma. We're going to take a look at that storm real quick and then go back. This looks like possibly just a damaging wind type storm. Nothing. You're probably seeing 50 mile an hour winds, which can break twigs and cause power outages and stuff like that. If you have some stuff hit some power lines. But other than that, got a flash flood warning also in Kentucky and Warren County. But this is the main event right here. This storm is continuously just producing some monster hail and some very intense damaging wind. This is just incredibly nasty damaging wind right here. Potentially 2.75-inch and larger hail in some of these areas here. That's going to be pushing to the south of Miller. This hail is going to be pushing right towards Amherst and eventually into areas around Kearney. Amherst, you have just a little bit of time to prepare for this storm. It's good that hail core is going to be moving over into your area probably in the next 10 minutes or so, 10-15 minutes. Yeah, if your car is left out, you want to make sure that you cover the windows because that hail core is continuing to get bigger and bigger. As we can see here, this is now a large area of monster gorilla hail. This is some of these values are showing baseball and larger size hail coming right in the vicinity of Kearney. This is going to be moving into Kearney probably in the next 40 minutes. Yeah, make sure that your cars are covered, your windows, if you don't want to have them broken or smashed out. Yeah, 21 frames. Well, I would just say because this isn't like a tornadic event, this is straight line winds, you want to be away from your windows for sure. This hail core is continuing to get stronger and stronger. Um, and this storm is continuing to get stronger and stronger and stronger. It's going through another one of its mature cycles as it comes right towards Kearney. So yeah, this is a damaging wind event, guys. So it started out looking like it might have been a tornado event, but now it's a large hail and damaging wind event. That gorilla hail is coming right onto I-80 near Elm Creek, in between Elm Creek and Kearney. So if you're on the roadways, some very, very damaging wind. I mean, they're showing some values upwards of 80 miles per hour. And this is getting very somewhat close to the Blue Hill radar station. So these are starting to become low-level winds showing up at these rates. So, I mean, I'm seeing some radar values probably about 2,500 feet up, about 80 miles per hour. So I guarantee it's probably putting at least 65 to 75 miles per hour of that down. Just make sure if you do feel unsafe with the storm to just stay away from windows. Um, be away from areas of your house that could be influenced with trees. Because this is coming right into Odessa Township. It's going to be coming right into Western Kearney County, right into Kearney, right into Odessa Township, right into Elm Creek. This storm is continuing to train right along that cold front, right along the where the triple points were. So if you're in that area, please take the storm seriously. Some very large damaging hail. Wind-driven 2.7-inch hail in some of these areas. Let's take a deeper look into this storm right now. Starting to get that little hook or that little inflow notch again, where sometimes you can have tornadic development in some of these areas, and we can take a look at the velocity. And I don't really see that, which is good. But you can have some weak little developments sometimes on these storms. But I'm not seeing that right now. I'm seeing mostly that bow echo, where it's mostly outflow dominant. So this is all outflow dominance. So this storm's probably doing its last hurrah, and it's just absolutely powerhousing with large damaging hail and damaging wind. It's still showing some areas of baseball to probably large apple-sized hail. And that's going to be pushing its way right into Kearney. Kearney, it's going to be pushing it. So that hail core is making its way right into a very populated area. There's, I think, 30,000 people that live in Kearney. So my guess is right here in front of this storm is probably a pretty substantial gust front as it's pushing into areas like Elm Creek. Sometimes these gust fronts can knock out power pretty darn fast. And that gust front will be usually a pretty sharp line like this. This actually might be an inflow jet right here. Make sure you have your weather radio on standby. Got 3 people in here. Thank you guys. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. If you're in this area, please let me know any comments or concerns that you guys have. So this is 2.7-inch hail and larger. This is some potentially baseball size hail, maybe bigger, 3-inch, I'd say anywhere from 2.78 or 2.75 inch to about 3.25 inch. So you're probably seeing baseball size hail in these cores. They're going to be coming right into the Kearney area, right towards Buda. some more here. This is going to be coming closer to Odessa Township. Thank you guys for joining me up here on the Storm Chasing Guide channel. Definitely getting some monster hail. See some spotters in the area becoming activated. Looks like the KNRW Media Group, the Kearney Storm Chasers, are now activated and they're taking a look at this storm right now. So they're going to probably report what's going on with that storm that's ongoing. And just that hail core is still continuing to get stronger and stronger. That area is getting probably close to baseball-sized hail. You got a nice little inflow notch along this kind of outflow. So this is some inflow riding into the storm. This is outflow pushing out. Thank you to our new subscriber. I do appreciate it, guys. Thank you, guys. Okay, that hail core is coming right towards Amherst. That bow echo is really, really defined along that hail core. That's some very damaging wind on that coming into Elm Creek right now. This is a little bit of an inflow notch. Winds pouring in from Riverdale. This is all outflow going out. You can see that sharp little gust front ahead of the storm. Very large damaging hail here, here. So Amherst, you're probably going to have some damage in town with some hail. Going here, this is 2.7 inch and larger, so 72 dBz values. Odessa Township, Kearney's going to get some big hail, very damaging wind. It's sagged down really fast, so some of these areas are reporting tennis ball, especially up here. Magnitude 2.7 inch. That's tennis ball sized hail being reported. 2.25. That's going to be golf ball, or a little bit larger than golf ball. So Thank you guys for the 6 people in here. I do appreciate all of your support. Feel free to check out my content if you guys like storm chasing. Very, very nasty storm. Let's take a look at our reflectivity, our velocity. So this is going to show me the strongest of winds is probably about 1,500 to 2,000 feet up. Looking into the storm, got some inflow shooting in, wrapping around that back end of the storm, and you have some outflow pushing out with some very large hail. And this is some particularly strong areas of outflow, 60 to 70 mile per hour plus damaging winds. Along with some very monster hail showing up on the reflectivity. Let's take a look here. We can actually go in and take a look at the storm from a 3D perspective. Just to kind of take a look here at the storm. You can really see here as it's coming into Kearney how strong this bow is showing up. Right there on the reflectivity in the 3-dimensional. And you really see these different levels of area where this wind is just pushing out straight like this. And it's coming right into Kearney. Now the hail core is kind of more isolated with some of this large damaging hail. At least it's probably tennis ball to baseball sized. And this is going to be coming right towards Kearney, unfortunately. Some more spotters being activated as this was rolling straight into town. Particularly dangerous situation. Some of these damaging winds. Let's take a look here. Probably a lot of cloud-to-cloud lightning right now. So probably a lot of cloud-to-ground lightning surging out in front of the storm towards Odessa Township right now. Some of these winds are ridiculously strong. 85 mile per hour at about 2,500 feet. So you're probably getting some 60 to 70 mile per hour winds in some of these spots, coming right towards Odessa Township and Kearney. Wouldn't be surprised if some of this was making it to the ground. But yeah, guys, this is a kind of a serious situation. And it's still pushing. Let's take a look back at the reflectivity. Amherst, you're probably getting some pretty large hail to the south of town right now. That hail core is pretty pronounced. Now the hail core is kind of washing out here on the southern part of the storm, but this is still pretty strong. This is going to be probably some of the more intense winds coming to the west side of Kearney. But you still got probably 60 plus mile per hour winds riding. Your 60 plus mile-an-hour damaging winds are going to be right here. I wouldn't be surprised if you have some 60 to 70 mile per hour winds embedded right here. Ooh, this heliport just got massive. Really got some probably 70 mile per hour winds along this bow right here. That's going to be pushing right towards Kearney. This is some monster hail. This is approaching probably 2.7 inch to 3.2 inch. This is at 2,500 feet up, looking into the storm from the south. And so you're probably getting some at least tennis ball to baseball sized hail, which can cause some serious damage. You're getting probably some quarter sized to penny sized right here, as well as along these outer edges of this. Might have some isolated 3-inch plus hail, possibly large apple to softball size hail. But I would say, to be conservative, I would probably say that there's at least tennis ball falling. And they have that coming right into Kearney now with that. Oh, and there's a new tornado signature. Hail probability. Okay, so severe hail probability is 80%. And it does have a TVS signature, which means that they see some rotation in the storm. So let's take a look at this potential rotation. If there was rotation, be right here along this line. It's almost like a quasi-linear convective system. QLCS tornado. And that could be coming right into Kearney. Something to definitely watch. This is a particularly dangerous situation. They might issue a tornado warning coming into Kearney with this. Because you got some winds wrapping around, inflowing into the storm, and then you got winds pulling away from it. So a little bit of a couplet there. He's going here, he's going there. Give it a spin, do some minor spin up. Still some monster hail, very strong, damaging wind. And that TVS signature would be right in that inflow notch area, which can be very well known for producing tornadoes. Thank you everybody who's joined me so far this evening on tonight's live stream covering tonight's severe weather. Right now, there's just a handful of severe thunderstorm warnings. They did issue a new one in Tennessee, so we'll take a quick look at that and see what's going on here. We got a possibly developing supercell here in Tennessee. This will be something to definitely keep my eye on. Take a look here at our radar signatures. This is going to be for southern Benton County in West Tennessee, Carroll County in West Tennessee, and northeastern Decanter County in West Tennessee. This was moving east at 25 miles per hour, quarter size hail being indicated. So. Hope everybody's having a great night. If you guys would like to chat, you guys can. Don't feel like you're a stranger. We got some very strong winds right here. Very sharp line. Probably 60 plus mile per hour winds right on that edge of that storm. Very, very nasty. Let's take a look at some of our velocity signatures. This is going back into Kearney. We're gonna some very large hail is still falling coming into Kearney, which has me kind of worried that this could get stronger. But right now, it looks like the main hail core is kind of staying in its same position. It keeps recirculating, so I guarantee Kearney's gonna at least have some quarter-size hail, possibly $50. Even some isolated spots in town could be bigger. So Kearney right now, just the west side of town, is very sharp, outflow dominant. Probably seeing some 65 mile per hour wind gusts in this area. Some damaging wind. Right now, this is actually inflow wrapping into the storm. So there is a couplet of rotation that's still possibly coming into Kearney. Hope it doesn't go tornado wind. Yeah, okay, so the hail core is kind of diminishing, but we still have that inflow notch. And that's the inflow pouring into the storm right there. This is still building this updraft. Very strong supercell, very long duration, heavy duty supercell here. Should be moving into Kearney in the next few minutes. Probably getting some pretty frequent lightning in town right now. Yeah, okay, so Kearney is starting to probably see some of those damaging winds push into town. And those winds are rushing up into the storm, and then you have these winds pushing down, creating that sharp line right there. Probably getting some of those 60, 70 mile per hour winds. Probably could be enough to knock out power there in Kearney. Still have that inflow notch. Seems like it's kind of closing up. Maybe some more inflow is starting to wrap around it. Some 1.5 inch hail just recorded north and west of Kearney. 1.5 inch is roughly about $50 size hail. Still could potentially chip windows and stuff like that. So Yeah, that's starting to definitely close up as it comes into Kearney. So becoming more and more outflow dominant. As it pushes further south, it might be all outflow dominant. It'll probably just continue to bow out across. Still some large hail though. Could have some isolated areas of damaging hail. Take a look back at our velocity signatures here. Um, I mean, the town's kind of split. The west side of town is getting hammered with some pretty heavy duty wind. I'm probably going to have some tree damage on the west side of town, I would assume. Very sharp line right here. So that pushes towards Minden. So the west side of Kearney, over by the Riverside Mobile Home Court, Sheen's Trailer Court, probably in downtown Kearney right now. You can really see that sharp line going down here. This is probably some 65 plus mile per hour wind going on right now. The CHI Good Health Samaritan Hospital is probably getting some good wind right now. Watch out for trees and on I-70 right now, people should really watch out for some of these trailers because they could really overturn with some of these higher uh, velocity winds as it comes into town here. These winds are going to be pushing right into Kearney, and they could be 70 plus mile per hour, 65 plus 70 plus mile an hour winds. Actually, not too long ago, a storm like this came into my area in San Antonio, Texas. And we had widespread power outages throughout the town. It's kind of given me a lot of memories of that storm a couple weeks ago here in San Antonio, where we had a very similar looking radar, where we had power flashes going on here in town, some widespread tree damage. This one actually looks stronger than the one that rolled through San Antonio. So I can only imagine the winds are probably insanely strong. Well, let's go over to the flash flood warning going on in Kentucky and see what's going on there. This is going to be for the Bowling Green, Kentucky area. Some stronger storms were moving through the general vicinity. Looks like some strong, heavy storms moving through still. Take a look here. It's get expired in the next 3 hours. Um, Between 2 to 3 inches of rain have already fallen across the Bowling Green area, with another 1 to 2 inches of rain possible with this coming storm near Russellville. So that's going to be pushing its way eastward and could add more to this flash flooding situation. This is, they're saying that they should treat this storm in Kearney like it's a tornado warning because there has been a couple of TBS signatures and they're saying tornado is possible. It would be more like a quasi-linear convective vortex or system tornado, QSL or QCLS tornado. Not really seeing that much um, as far as that being a possibility. It just looks like south and west of Kearney, just very strong wind, very very nasty wind, very nasty wind here. Thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate your support. This is going to be making its way towards the Blue Hill radar station. So it rides this boundary down. Still putting out some potentially penny to quarter size hail on some of these areas here on the west side of Kearney. Kind of losing its shape a little bit as far as the supercell goes. It's kind of become more like almost like an MCS, mesoscale convective system. Be interesting to see as it gets south of this boundary here that it loses. It'll probably end up losing a little bit more of its steam, but starting to look like there's a new hail core starting to form here, which means it could be doing a left-right split. And this one will take over and keep producing, which could be possible. I have to watch that one pretty closely. But like I said, we're losing some of our daytime heating, so might start to dwindle down. But still some damaging winds nonetheless. It's a pretty monster storm. Some very strong wind here. Persistent outflow dominant. Continuing to just push that wind forward out of that storm. There's probably a nice, mean-looking, ground-scraping shelf cloud right there. Probably a lot of lightning. I'll be right back, guys. I'm going to zoom out of this real quick so you guys can take a look at this storm. Take a little break for a second. Kearney's getting some lightning right now. Still some hail around town. It's probably going to turn into a line. Right now, so this is infamously what you call a windbag. It's just a large area of damaging straight line winds, and they can do a lot of damage. really starting to lose its shape, but still around Newark. There's a little couplet right here. Maybe in broad area of rotation. Not too far from the ground. I'd say probably about 1,500 feet. So might have could have a little bit of a rain wrapped QS or QCLS tornado. Um, that is a very interesting little feature right there. That is what looks like a brief little rotating storm right there. Watch that for the next couple slides. That area of damaging winds has kind of gotten smaller, but it's still very potent. This is starting to get into some of these mid to low level signatures. Couplet of rotation here, and then we have this very strong 70 to 80 mile per hour wind, probably 1,500 feet off the ground, so you're probably getting some 65 to 75 mile per hour winds in some of these isolated spots coming into Kohler, possibly Hartwell, Minden, possibly towards Norman. Hey, what's up, Tony Rock fam? Sorry, I just saw that you were typing in here. Where is this located? This is in Nebraska. No, this is heading towards This is in Nebraska. It's not Virginia. People probably saw Newark and were like, "Oh no, not Virginia." No, this is kind of show you on the map here. This storm is in south central Nebraska. Here's the Nebraska-Kansas line. Some stronger storms starting to now form. Central Kansas, Ellsworth, Salina area. Take a look at that. We got a couple of watches being assured here. And these storms are something to watch as they push eastwards towards Topeka, Kansas City, but I don't really see them getting. I think this could turn into a damaging wind event, possibly. But as far as some of these areas are pretty rain cooled already. Some showers and some storms moving towards Wichita at this hour. Got some showers and severe storm moving into Houston. I think this is what starts its. This is gonna get stronger as it comes towards Liberal. and over towards Woodward, Oklahoma. This is gonna pretty much train right down this way. There was a thing where this turned into a MCS event. It basically became this damaging storm that pushed its way over towards Fort Smith in the afternoon. This is uh, this is the beginnings of a damaging storm that's forming in Kansas right now. It's going to push into central and western Oklahoma in the morning towards the afternoon for areas from Oklahoma City over to Tulsa, Fort Smith. So something to keep an eye on. Probably not going to be on so super or so much longer. I wish I could have gone on earlier, but we're still having that bow. It's pretty jagged, but definitely seeing that gut front loud and clear on radar. This right here will be kicking up a ton of dust ahead of the storm as it comes towards Norman, Upland, Campbell. It's starting to inflow again. See if it correlates that on velocity. Yep, there's a little inflow push. Might be trying to regain some strength. You never know. But for me, I think it's going to start diminishing now that it doesn't have the power of the sun to cause heating. But it could. I'm guaranteed this is probably all going to connect eventually. I think that's what it's doing. Is it's trying to connect here to become a line of thunderstorms that will eventually just push. Let's see. I see that they issued a mesoscale discussion. So, summary: a gradual decrease of severe threat is expected with time, with the isolated hail risk that may persist overnight. So, this is going to be the last of the severe weather that occurs with these storms. This discussion here is not showing. So, these storms are pretty much starting to diminish. Still some damaging winds possible for Medina, but after that, I think it's going to start becoming more of a wind and rain and maybe small hail ordeal. These are going to join into a line eventually. This is probably going to push further south. There's this mesoscale, but it didn't have any information. Let me see if I can pull up what they said real quick. SPC. Okay, so the mesoscale is not there. Okay, so let's go over right now the next couple days, and I can kind of give you guys an idea of what's going to happen. Tomorrow, that severe threat kicks back up right here along the Kansas, Oklahoma, or Kansas, Nebraska line. This area is going to be enhanced tomorrow. So more chances for damaging winds, tornadoes, anywhere from about Colby. So Colby is right here. So Cook is in that mix. So it's gonna be pretty much And this area right here is going to be in an enhanced risk. So let me go over what that means. So this area right here tomorrow is going to have a 5% chance for tornadoes. Um, nothing. There's probably a very, 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 very small, but next to nothing chance that there's going to be a major tornado. But still, there's a chance of the EF0 to EF2 still in that mix. Now, tomorrow, the main threat in this area is going to be the wind. Winds exceeding 70 miles per hour. There is a 30% chance for Grand Island, Nebraska, Kearney, Nebraska, which is getting hit right now. Hastings, Beatrice, Lexington. It's also going to include some of these areas as well: Osborne, Beloit, Concordia, Belleville, Phillipsburg, Norton, Franklin, Red Cloud, Nelson. This area is going to be very hard hit tomorrow when it comes to. Actually, goes like that. That's the real enhanced risk tomorrow. It goes all the way to the Colorado line. And redraw it so it's accurate. It's kind of what it looks like tomorrow. It's kind of like an eye. Main threat, it's going to be damaging wind and hail, most likely, but there could be some isolated tornadoes. There could actually be a major hail risk for a lot of areas. Actually, you know what? Instead of trying to draw that out like haphazardly, I can actually go to tomorrow's outlook. That might be easier. There we go. There we go. Here's the enhanced risk area. I was somewhat close to my drawing. But yeah, Broken Bow, Lexington. It's gonna be this area. We can kind of take a look here. Tornado risk. It's gonna be for Grand Isle, Kearney, North Platte, Hastings, and Beatrice. That's going to be the greatest tornado risk. Now, that population right there is 475,000 people could be impacted by these storms tomorrow. And that includes the city of North Platte, which is, North Platte and Hastings are decently sized towns. Same with Kearney, about 30,000 people in Kearney. Now, the area for damaging winds is going to be in that enhanced risk area. But the damaging wind threat could exceed much farther in some isolated areas, as far as the North Texas Panhandle into Colorado, upwards into Nebraska, even into extreme southwestern parts and south central parts of South Dakota, as far also as parts of Missouri and Iowa. So, I mean, it's a large area for damaging windstorm. Well, anyway, guys, if I see that threat continues tomorrow, we'll take one good look back at these storms. They just issued a severe thunderstorm warning for these storms here, coming into Grant, Vesper, Kansas, Wilson, Kansas. They just issued that going on right now. 60 mile per hour winds and 1 inch hail. the storm is starting to really dwindle out. I'll end its severe thunderstorm warning soon in the next 20 minutes or so, or less. Um, that's going to continue to push on. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to try to go live and do another forecast discussion of what's going to happen tomorrow. And hope to see you guys soon. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. Much love and light, guys, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your night.